Hey, riders and racers. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Today's topic, the title of today's video, is how to lose 3 kilos in the next 7 days. So first of all, when you're trying to lose weight, and that's your primary goal, that's the thing that you're working towards, there's a simple equation, first of all, that you need to know. And you may have heard of it before, but I'm going to show you how to implement it and actually make it usable. So our body burns a certain amount of calories every day, just doing what we do. Okay, so you might be a bricklayer, you might be like me, where you're sitting in the office in front of the computer most of the day. Maybe you go and ride, maybe you go to the gym. So our body burns a certain amount of calories every day through exercise and just through being alive. And then on the other side of the equation, we consume a certain amount of calories. Hey, Kirk, through food. Okay, so everything we eat and even everything we drink, if we're not drinking water, has calories in it. So calories is just our energy source. Okay, it's a bit like saying for your bike, like your bike runs on unleaded petrol, same sort of thing. So to get your body to gain weight, okay, so if you're finding that you're gaining weight and you don't want that to happen, what that means is you're consuming more calories and taking in more calories and more energy than what you're burning on the day to day through training and through being alive. Hey, James. If you're staying the same, if you're trying to lose weight and your weight's not moving, okay, you're at 100 kilos and you can't get under 100 kilos and you're doing everything and nothing's moving under, what that means is that the amount of calories that you're burning on a day-to-day basis is exactly the same amount of calories that you're consuming on a day-to-day basis. That's why your weight's staying the same. If you want to lose weight, then what we have to make sure is that your body, what this means if you're losing weight, so if you're 100 kilos and you're trying to get lighter, get down to 95, and you are actually losing weight and the scales are dropping each week, then what that means is your body is burning more calories every day than the calories that you're consuming in through food. Okay, so there's a gap there. So what that's called is a calorie deficit. It means that your body is burning more calories than the amount of calories that are going in through food. And so that's the simple equation that you need to adhere to. And that's the way any type of weight loss works, is there has to be a deficit there. Okay, you have to be burning more calories than what you're consuming. And there's multiple ways, there's two ways that you can work on that. There's one side, you can work on restricting the amount of calories. Okay, so consuming less calories, and that will create a deficit. Or the other side that you can work on is you can work on exercising more. So if you train 3 times a week, train 6 times a week, and your body will be burning more calories. So that's the equation. Okay, that's how you lose weight. So if you want to lose weight, you have to be in a deficit. Okay, and you can work on either of those. You can either train a shit ton more, do a lot more exercise and physical activity than what you are now, or you can consume less calories and less energy through your food. Now, the next thing is weight loss versus fat loss. Okay, so a lot of us say we want to lose weight, but what we really mean is we want to lose body fat. Okay, none of us want to lose a whole heap of muscle and be ridiculously skinny and have skin and bone, right? We assume that if we're losing body fat, that our weight's going to drop. If you've got a fair bit of weight to drop, okay, then yes, we are looking for that. The goal is to get the number on the scale dropping each week. Okay, and what I work on with our riders is roughly a reasonable amount to expect is half a kilo to a kilo per week. So when we're chasing weight loss, okay, and when we're chasing fat loss, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're maintaining the muscle that we have. So even if you're at 110 kilos or 120 kilos, you don't think you have any muscle because there's a lot of fat there. Now, I promise you there's muscle under there, okay, somewhere, even if you can't see it. So what we want to do is we want to work on keeping that muscle there as you drop weight. Now, one of the problems is when we just focus on dropping weight and not preserving muscle, what happens is that contributes to our metabolism slowing down, and we actually burn less calories on a day-to-day basis. So what muscle mass does is muscle mass takes a fair bit of calories and energy just to keep around on a day-to-day basis. So what that means is we're burning more calories day in, day out, even just doing nothing, okay, even just while we're sitting here, or while you guys are watching the live stream. So if our muscle mass is dropping down, what that means is our body's demand for calories every day is also dropping down. So what we want to make sure that we're just dropping fat and you actually look better is we want to be able to, and fit into your clothes and all that sort of stuff. We want to make sure that we're keeping as much of that muscle around as we can, and we're just stripping away the body fat. So the way that we do that is we make sure that we're eating adequate amounts of protein and the right amount of protein. So the gauge, as a rough gauge to start off with, I'll work on roughly 1.8 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So if you're weighing 100 kilos, that'll be up around 180 gram mark. So it could be, you could start off between 150 to 180 grams of protein. And what this is going to ensure is that when you're losing weight, you're not losing muscle as well. It's going to make sure that we're holding onto the muscle, which is going to help you to drop body fat, and then also give you an accurate reading on the scales every day to make sure that you're going to hit your goal. So common questions I get when it comes to weight loss, and that ties into the title of how to lose 3 kilos, like lose 3 kilos in 7 days. So one of the common things that happens, one of the common questions I get is, hey Luke, one of the common questions I get is, I lose a whole heap of weight. Whenever I start a diet, I lose a whole heap of weight really quickly. And then what happens is once I lose that weight for the first week, then things start to plateau off and I don't really lose any weight anymore. And the reason that that happens is because a lot of us have, whether we know it or not, we have a high carbohydrate diet. Okay, a lot of us are eating high levels of carbohydrates on a day-to-day basis. So a low level of carbohydrates, okay, might be say 50 grams of carbs per day. For majority of us, we're eating well in excess. We're eating 100, 200, 300, 400 calories of carbohydrates per day. And so the problem with this is carbohydrates hold a lot of water, okay, and they get stored in the body as glycogen. So if we're eating a whole heap of carbs, what happens is, number one, our muscles are all filled up with glycogen and they're full, which is our body holding onto weight. And then also those carbohydrates also hold onto a lot of water as well. So what happens when I start to work with riders, especially new riders that are getting into the program or eating a different way, is the way of eating that I'm getting them to follow is lower carb in comparison to what they've been used to eating. And so because the carbs are being cut right down from, maybe they're having 200 or 300 grams of carbs a day, and now they're having 50 grams or 100 grams of carbs per day, what happens is that their body is holding on to a lot less water, okay, and has a lot less glycogen available or stored in the muscle and in the body. So when they do that for the first time, if they're eating 200 or 300 grams of carbs per day, and then all of a sudden it comes Monday and we start working together and they're eating 50 or 100 grams, their body is not, hey Hayden, the body's not holding on to anywhere near as much water. So they start to see these big rapid drops in weight. And so I see them up to, depending on how much, generally if a rider has a lot more weight to lose, they will see a bigger drop in that first week, but they can lose like 1, 2, 3 kilos just like that. And usually it's not in 7 days. Usually it's like in 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And so it's not body fat loss, it's just water loss. Okay, so it is a good motivator at the start though, because you see the scales and they're dropping, and that's great. What you need to make sure though is, number one, you don't set that as your expectation for every week. So it's easy to go, oh, I lost 3 kilos this week. If I keep losing 3 kilos every week, this is what I'll get to, and that's not going to happen. What will happen is you'll start off losing a big chunk of weight at the start, just when your carbs get dropped down, and overall calories are dropped down as well. And then as you get into the second week, you don't have any more carbs to drop. So what happens then is weight loss will start to slow down. So then that's when I work on with our riders roughly half a kilo to a kilo a week. And we want to make sure we're chipping away at that every single week. Okay, we're just chipping away, weighing in once a week to make sure that we're on target. So that's how they lose so much weight in such a short period of time. But the thing is, it's just short-lived, right? As soon as you go and eat more carbs, you're going to put the weight back on. If I give you an example, a personal example for me, so I'm working towards a weightlifting competition. And so I was 105 kilos at the previous weightlifting competition I did. The next one is in about 8 weeks' time, and I want to be at 95 kilos. And so far, I was the other day on Saturday morning, I was at 98.5 kilos. And so I've been eating relatively low in terms of carbohydrates. And so I went out on Saturday night. So Saturday night was my cheat meal night. So I went and had, what do we have? Oh, I went to Grill, the burger place. So I had burgers, had these chips. And then after that, we went and got ice cream. Had these things like biscuit things with ice cream, like shit tons of carbs, way more, probably like more carbs in that one meal than what I've had for majority of the week. And so then I woke up the next morning, and so I'll weigh myself every morning. And so I woke up the next morning and I was 99.5 kilos. So the morning before I was 98.5 kilos. The next morning I was 99.5 kilos. Now, I didn't put on a kilo of body fat overnight, okay? It's just that my body was holding a lot of water because I really cranked up the carbs. So that's how much of a difference, like a kilo overnight. It's quite a big difference for losing weight. So, and I do the same thing every weekend. I have my cheat meal usually on a Saturday night, or it could be a Friday or Sunday. and my weight will go up the next day, and then I'll go back to my lower carbohydrate way of eating, and then my weight will go down, and then drop back to where it was before, and then be able to keep dropping from there. And same thing when you cut the carbs out, and I'll lose like half a kilo, in the space of a couple of days, just because I'm not holding onto as much water. So that's the first thing that I get asked. So that's perfectly normal. Okay, you just need to make sure that you are in a calorie deficit, so you keep losing weight. Okay, it's about consistency. Everyone's in such a race to lose the weight very, very quickly, but at the end of the day, it's probably not what you want. What you want is you want to keep the weight off. And in the scheme of things, losing weight is a very short-term goal. Okay, even if you've got 20 kilos that you want to lose, it might take you 6 months to lose the 20 kilos, right? Or 20 weeks, 26 weeks to lose that 20 kilos. But you don't want to just lose the 20 kilos. You want to keep the 20 kilos off, don't you? You want to do that for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So that's where the real work's done. It's consistency week in, week out. It's not doing a whole heap of crazy shakes and starving yourself for a week to try and lose this weight, because as soon as you go back to your normal way of eating, you're just going to put the weight back on. So what I work on with our guys is maintainable strategies, right? Things that you can keep doing day in, day out, things that you can keep doing long past you've worked with me. Things that you can keep implementing, things that's doable, things that are achievable, things that allows you to still go out on the weekend, but still hit your goal at the same time. I get asked a lot about like different types of eating, like, what about vegan? What about keto? What about paleo? What about low carb, high protein only, vegetarian, whatever it is. They all work to a degree, okay? But the reason that they work, if they do work for you, is because you're in a calorie deficit. So what I talked about at the start, that's how they all work, okay? There's nothing particularly special about keto or about plant-based or about whatever, paleo, or whatever else is out there. It's just that they help you to get into a calorie deficit. And so if they help you to do that and you find that way of eating is sustainable for you, then that's great. What I find with these different types of eating is that they're not sustainable and they're too restrictive. And so they may help you to get to your goal, may help you to lose weight, which is great, but the problem is they're not sustainable. So you might lose the 10 kilos that you're trying to lose, but then you get to the end and you're like, oh, thank fuck, that's over. And then you go back to doing what you were doing before. And because you were doing what you were doing before, you put on the weight again. And then you've got to go back and do it. So you might have a system there that works, but it's not sustainable. And so really that's what I work on with my riders, is I want to make sure that the things that they're doing are sustainable. I don't want them to just do things through willpower and just eating shit food that they really fucking hate and never look forward to for a whole week or weeks and months, just for the sake of losing weight. Because I know when they get to the end and they've lost the weight and there's no more motivator there to lose more weight anymore, that willpower is going to start to disappear. Okay, when you get to your goal of 80 kilos and you don't have any more weight to lose, it's very hard to keep pushing at that same rate just to stay 80 kilos if you don't like what you're doing. So I'm not saying it's going to be enjoyable all the time. I'm not saying you're going to love every minute of it. Okay, there will be times where it's going to be hard, where you're going to feel like having something that you shouldn't be having. Okay, that's not going to help you towards your goal. But it's having something that's maintainable, something that's sustainable, something you're like, yeah, you know what? This is helping me to lose weight, but I can also see myself doing this for 6 months, for 12 months, for 24 months. I can see myself doing this for the long term. Whereas like weight loss shakes and stuff like that, it's like, if you can't see yourself having weight loss shakes for the next 10 years, then probably don't start with them, because you're going to put in the work and lose the weight, and then you're just going to be disappointed because you're going to be like, shit, well, all that weight I just lost by eating these shitty shakes all day that taste like crap, now all your hard work's disappeared, okay, and you put the weight back on. So that's how most of that stuff works. How can you tell how many calories you consume and burn? So you can measure how many calories you burn. Like there's a lot of like Apple Watches, Garmin watches and stuff like that can track how many calories you burn these days, which are reasonably priced and accessible to most of us. So that's one way of tracking how many calories you burn. For me, so the riders that I work with, I don't get them to track how many calories they burn during their training or during the week. I'll work on the opposite side. So all our training sessions that I do with our riders, so they do 3 sessions a week, half of it's strength building, half of it's cardio and conditioning based work. I know that roughly for every session, whatever the amount of calories that they're burning is, it's roughly the same amount of calories, okay? And over time, as they keep training with me and getting fitter and stronger, they'll burn more and more and more calories. But I know that roughly, we're doing similar type training. It's not like we're jumping around from completely different types of training. So whatever training they're doing with me, they're burning similar amounts of calories every day. So what I get them to do is I get them to track their food for a week if I need to. They'll use MyFitnessPal is the app that I've got, and you guys can access that as well. It's a free app, and that will track your food for you. So you can put all your food in there. Okay, I ate a handful of almonds, I ate 200 grams of steak, I ate half an avocado, and that will count out the calories for you and give you a reading for every day, which is great. So if you track that for a week for 7 days, so weigh yourself, track your food for 7 days, and then weigh yourself again, then you'll see, and as long as you've trained and you've done your sessions, that will give you a reading. So let's say I weigh in at 90 kilos today, and I weigh myself for 7 days, and then I weigh in again at 90 kilos. What I mean is the amount of calories that I ate is the exact same amount of calories that I've been burning. Okay, that's why I haven't changed any weight. So what I need to do is create a deficit. So let's say, for example, I tracked my calories for the next 7 days, and it averaged out to about 2,000 calories a day. And I weighed in at 90 kilos on day 1, and I weighed in at 90 kilos on day 7, averaging 2,000 calories every day. Then I need to create a deficit. And so the way that I create a deficit is we start off, first of all, by taking roughly 200 calories off. So what I would get that rider to do is to aim for 1,800 calories. So and say, hey, instead of averaging 2,000 calories like you have for the last week, I need you to average 1,800. And then we'll do that again for the next 7 days, averaging 1,800, and then get them to weigh in. And then by then they should have lost weight. Okay. Common things I do see though with tracking, guys, is people don't track properly. They don't take into account a lot of things that they should be taking into account. And this is no different for the riders that I work with. And I was the same when I first started tracking my food as well. I was like, there was a lot of things in there that I didn't track that I didn't think were significant. So things that might come up for you, like for example, you might have cereal in the morning, and maybe you just track the cereal, but you don't track the milk in the cereal. Or maybe you put honey in your cereal in the morning, and you don't track the honey, you just track the cereal that's in there in the milk. Maybe you have toast in the morning, and you track the toast, but you don't track the butter that you put on the toast, okay, or the peanut butter that you put on the toast, or whatever the spread was that you put on there, you don't track that. Or maybe you make chicken schnitzels for dinner, and you just track the chicken. Okay, you don't track the breadcrumbs you put on the chicken, you don't track the egg that you dipped the chicken in, and you don't track the olive oil that you used to fry the chicken schnitzels with. Maybe coffees during the day. Maybe you have a coffee and you have a couple of sugars in your coffee. Maybe you're not tracking the sugars there. It could be that you're having drinks throughout the day. Maybe you have a bit of orange juice and you're like, oh, orange juice is good for you. And again, you don't track the calories for it. So when you're tracking the food, you have to make sure that you're tracking absolutely everything that goes in your body. All of those little things that you feel that are insignificant. Because what happens is all of those little things add up calorie-wise. So if you're trying to be in a 200 calorie deficit, but all of those little things haven't been tracked, that might be that 200 calories that you need to be in a deficit, right? You might be getting an extra 200 calories in every day without even knowing it. And then you're going, hey, I'm in a deficit, I've dropped weight, or I'm eating the amount of calories I'm supposed to and still not dropping weight. And that'll be the reason why, because there's all these little things in there that are adding up over the day and over the week that you haven't taken into account. So that's how you tell how many calories you consume. So at the end of the day, as I said, I don't get our guys to track anything that they're burning. All I'm getting them to, because I know the training is consistent every week and it's the same style and structure of training, I'm getting them to focus on what they're consuming. And so if they're not losing weight, then we go into a calorie deficit. So we start off with 200 calories a week. If they're not losing weight with that 200 calorie deficit, either number one, I might need to go a little bit more on the deficit, or they're not tracking their food properly. So that's when I need to have a conversation with them and go, okay, well, talk me through, like I'll go through their meals with them, go through their foods, which they get linked up to me on MyFitnessPal, so I can see everything they're tracking. And then we go through them together, and they go, oh yeah, I'm not tracking this. Oh yeah, I'm not tracking that. Oh yeah, I'm not tracking this. And then we're like, okay, well, we found our problem. And then we start tracking it properly, and then magic, weight starts dropping off. So to wrap up today's call, if you want to lose 6 kilos in the next 6 weeks, and actually keep it off for the long term, okay, have long-term strategies to be able to keep off the 6 kilos. And you can apply for my motocross fat blaster program, which I will be kicking off next week on Monday. So I'll put the link for that in the comments below for you guys. So this is for those, you need to obviously have 6 kilos of body weight to lose or more. So if you're in that 10 kilo mark, 15 kilo mark, even 20 kilo mark that you'd like to lose, then this will be great for you. I need you to, training wise, you can either train in the gym to get this done, or if you're in lockdown at the moment, then you can train in lockdown as well. Being in lockdown is not going to determine whether you lose weight or don't lose weight. It's just the level of effort that you're willing to put in. If you're willing to commit while you're in lockdown and put the work in. 3 sessions a week we do. Okay, whether you're training at home or you're training in the gym, 3 sessions a week, they're roughly an hour. It's not the end of the world. It's in terms of losing weight, it's a really effective way. Hey, David, a really effective way of losing weight without training every day and without starving yourself. You can eat real proper food. Chicken schnitzels. Hey, Reese, chicken schnitzels are one of the foods that we have on the menu. Okay, we got things like bacon and eggs for breakfast. We got Caesar salads for snacks. Like the food is real food. Okay, it's not wacky food, not couscous and whatever other fancy health foods they have out there. It's actually real food. But the main thing is, I just need you to follow what I need you to do. Okay, and just be coachable as well. So that way I can help you. If you're open to feedback and open to help, then the Motocross Fat Blaster program is probably going to be for you. But if you'd like to find out more information, you can fill out the application form below in the comments. Otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this live stream and got some value from it. And I will chat to you guys soon. See ya.